Good evening. My name is Abrita M. Banks, and I'm going to speak to you today about the growing income inequality as it is a problem for business and society. But at first, I want to give a disclaimer that this video is the assignment of my Business and Society Master's course at Fayetteville State University and is approved by my professor, whom I'm going to call Dr. O. Thomas Jefferson, one of our founding fathers, who was the third president of the United States of America, promoted individual liberty and justice for all. Yet he was a slave owner. But he was a gifted writer, and at the age of 33, he was asked to draft a Declaration of Independence, the document that explained why the 13 colonies wanted to be free of British rule. And in it, it detailed the importance of individuals' rights and freedoms. And so have it be known that on July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was adopted. This is the era in which inequality should have begun. Yet here we are in the 21st century, still living with inequalities and injustices in many areas such as race, gender, and even income. Today I'm going to share with you the latter, the growing inequality of income. I will talk strictly the facts, either from which I researched and or which I have experienced. Nonetheless, we as a people have a problem to address because income inequality has a grave impact on business and society. But even more than that, income inequality is destroying the families and degrading what we stand for as a people, which is hope. But I am confident that you will be able to recognize with me why I am totally against income inequality. On June 14, 2018, the congressional baseball game was underway. But several Democrats skipped it and spent an hour on the House floor reading testimonials by campaign activists who are facing a severe economic hardship, from homelessness to greedy lenders to paychecks that don't cover basic needs. The headline's news story entitled "The Poor People's Campaign Goes to Congress" by Anderson and Arvizo was the chatter that I personally witnessed last Monday, 18 June, while attending my comptroller's course at Syracuse University in New York, as we were instructed to talk about real-world issues in Congress. But this proposal was soon swept under the rug, as the spotlight was stolen for partisan purposes. But this came as no surprise, as one rule was made very clear, that no politician who stood at that podium had even attended any of the campaign organized events. Instead, the weekly rallies that had taken place over the past month in more than 35 states had all featured ordinary Americans speaking from their own experience about campaign interrelated targets, systematic racism, poverty and inequality, military and war economy, and ecological devastation. But in its irony, several members of Congress remained eager to support the initiative, which marked the 50th anniversary of a similar effort by Reverend Martin Luther King and other leaders in 1968. During the week of June 19th, cities around the country marked Juneteenth, the oldest known celebration commensurating the end of slavery in the United States. But for many Americans of all races and nationalities around the world, and that especially of the African American race, the effects of enslavement in the sense of poverty, hunger, and imprisonment is more real today than that dating back in 1865. It was over 150 years ago that the first Juneteenth was recognized, but still the United States citizens are experiencing a real suffrage today. Income inequality is one of the major reasons why crime rates are spiking in most inner cities across America. Along with these high crime rates, there's also a dramatic increase in the number of people in prison. For African Americans, incarceration rates are 25% more than that of our white counterpart for the exact same crime. This impacts our generations. A recent report by the Economy Policy Institute found that approximately 25% of African American children have experienced a parent, in most cases a father, being in prison for some period of time. But have anybody thought about the second and third order effects for these kids? These kids are more likely to drop out of school, develop learning disabilities, suffer from migraines, asthma, high cholesterol, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, and homelessness. To shed some light on other areas of how income inequality has the most impact to me is something known as the good old boy system, where no colonel is left behind is the expectation of these elite people. So, as colonels retire from the active duty positions, they enter into the civilian workforce. Positions are then created to place them in these high dollar positions that are never awarded to the civilians. And so in that, these top positions are made specifically for these retired colonels at this nice salary right in the door. No matter their background, no matter their education, it's almost a given. So for the civilians like myself, who holds these positions for 20 to 30 years, we'll never see the type of income and awards that these colonels receive. So for me, this is the major reason that I decided to return to school for my master's degree in finance and entrepreneurship. I understand the game that the government tends to play. I understand that it's not what you know, but who you know. In my 20-year service, yes, I have statute over the civilian workforce. But to have a fighting chance against these colonels, especially these white males in my office, I need to make myself more marketable, which is my plan as I accelerate in my master's programs. If nothing more, I want a chance to close the income equality gap that reigns in my office and throughout the government. After obtaining 3 master's degrees, and I'm hoping to do this by 2021, I hope to be given that fighting chance. So in my conclusion, I want to just add a final food for thought about inequality income. The world we live in today is a business. It is. It really is a business. And in our society, as we know it, it is being demolished by those in power. It is important for everyone to understand that if you are sincere in wanting a change and in making a change, it must start with me, you, and every person that this affects. The next time that elections come up in these Senate seats, and even in your local and state governments, and definitely during presidential election times, it will behoove all of us to stand in those lines as long as it takes and vote. If we as a people continue to sit at home, we cannot complain when the rich become richer and the poor starts begging to be enslaved again as an option to feeding their families. We have a real problem in the world today, and it's going to take all of us to affect this change. This is Sabrina Banks signing off. I hope you enjoyed the video on growing income inequality is a problem in society. You will find my references to my video in the body of my submission form in our assignments in Canvas. Thank you.